Alright, in this video, ladies and gentlemen, more like gentlemen probably, I'm going to teach you exactly what you need to do to get an athletic body. Just like I did, think more Brad Pitt, Fight Club, or Zac Efron, Baywatch, maybe somewhere in between those, rather than, like Arnold or C-Bum, no disrespect to him, but you don't want to look like a bodybuilder, and you're sick of all the social media advice from bodybuilders for people who they assume want to be bodybuilders, and you know that it's just not the right way or the way that you want to build your body, because you'd be correct, okay? There are differences versus going down like a bodybuilding route and just trying to get as big as fucking humanly possible, which is not something that I wanted to do, versus just wanting to look good on the beach. Is this actually working? On the beach with your shirt off. Two very, very different things. So I'm going to crush the myths in this video. I'm going to try and keep it as short as possible, but as informative and direct as possible, because there is so much bullshit on social media, on here, on YouTube, on Google, on bodybuilding forums. You just don't need to be following that, okay? If you're just trying to look good with your top off in summer, I have the source, okay? I've been doing this for 7 years. I've made all the mistakes. I've fucked around enough. I know the truths, and I'm going to share them with you here because it's a lot simpler than you think. Not easy, but simple, okay? So I've got a list on my phone. This isn't fancy editing. I'm just going to tell you the information you need to know so that hopefully you can just go off and do it, okay? So let's begin. The first thing that you need to know is that, I'm just getting my list up. When it comes to building your body, there is no real difference between training like a bodybuilder would and training like anyone else who wants to gain muscle. You are not in danger of accidentally looking like a bodybuilder, okay? First thing that you need to know is that. And the reason for that is firstly because bodybuilders often take steroids. Whether or not they lie about it is a different thing, but they often do. And second of all, it's actually really, really difficult to gain too much muscle. It's hard to gain any muscle, okay? So you're not in danger of being a bodybuilder. Okay, it might not be your end goal though, and that's fine, because it wasn't mine. I don't think it looks good. I think it looks fucking weird. So here's the thing. You don't need to train like a bodybuilder, okay? But the way that you are going to train isn't going to be a huge amount different, okay? The primary thing that it comes down to is actually your food. And it's at the top of my list. I don't know if you can even see that. But the truth is, that if you're trying to train to look like someone athletic, defined, like a swimmer, rather than someone bulky, big, borderline just weird looking, it's going to come down to your nutrition primarily, because the gym side, it's not that different, despite what anyone tells you, okay? So here's the thing. In your mind right now, you're probably like, well, if I want to build some muscle, I need to bulk. No, you don't. Remove the word from your mind. You are not going to bulk. Because if you bulk, what's going to happen is you're going to increase your calories much, much higher than they ever needed to be for you to actually gain more muscle mass. Because guess what? Your body doesn't actually even need to be in a calorie surplus to build muscle, necessarily. Does it help? Yes. But a lot of very obese people, for example, when their fat is coming down and they're eating in a calorie deficit, which means less food than they need to lose the fat, will often build muscle at the same time. What does that tell us? Well, it tells us that you don't need to eat fuck tons of food to build muscle, okay? Because when you do eat fuck tons of food to build muscle, guess what also happens? You gain loads of fat, okay? It's just simple. It's how it is. It happened to me a lot of times. It happens to, I see it happen to so many people who are a year or two into their gym journey, and they start looking further and further away from their original goal. Like they just start putting on more fat than muscle, and they think, hang on a minute, this is not how I want it to look. I actually don't feel as confident as I did at the beginning, which is not the point, right? So the first thing that you need to do is address your nutrition. The primary difference between someone who is bodybuilding and someone who just wants an athletic body is nutrition. So here's how you need to set it up. You need to eat at your maintenance, and sometimes very slightly over, okay? Now some people would say, well, that's just a lean bulk. Maybe it is. But guess what? Very few people do a lean bulk. Very few. And different people have different ideas of what a lean bulk actually means. Some people think it's 400 calories above your maintenance. I wouldn't call that a lean bulk. there's still the potential to gain a lot of extra fat over weeks and months if you do that, okay? What you need to do is start by eating at your maintenance calories. So you're gonna head to a website called caloriecalculator.net, okay? You're gonna figure out your maintenance calories, and honestly, you're just going to eat those. The really fucking important thing though is that you actually do. So many people think that they're eating a certain number of calories, but actually aren't, either because they're lazy with tracking, they're making mistakes with tracking, think the difference between cooked chicken and uncooked chicken, or they're just completely off the mark, okay? So please make sure you're actually eating the calories you think you are. Keep your meals quite simple. They don't have to be disgusting, but just keep them simple so they're easy to track. Then you're going to eat your body weight in pounds in protein. So if I'm 180 pounds, I'm going to eat 180 grams of protein no matter what, and that's it. Don't worry about fats, don't worry about carbs. To be honest, not too important at this stage. Now, what's going to happen is you are going to build muscle, provided that the gym is in place, and I will talk about that later. You will build muscle, okay? Now, if you don't build muscle, if you don't gain strength, then you increase your calories. And I would suggest doing it in 50 calorie increments. That way, you're not going to end up eating more than you ever needed. You're going to land on exactly the right number of calories that you need at your current weight to build lean muscle. Okay, I shouldn't even say lean muscle because all muscle is by definition lean. Not going to get into it. So that's what you need to do. Now, the chances are that before you do that, you need to do something first. Okay, so what I just described, we call a build phase in my coaching company. So that is where you're trying to build muscle, but you're very, very, very fucking carefully doing it. You're tiptoeing, okay, around your maintenance so that you don't gain excess fat. Because I don't know about you, but I would rather have the summer come around and I didn't gain quite as much muscle as I wanted, rather than gaining a little bit more muscle and just carrying around a fuck ton of fat that I never had. That's just my personal preference. And if you're on this video, you'll probably agree with me. Not the end of the world if you're still really lean, you have abs, you just didn't quite build as much muscle as you wanted. I don't really give a fuck, okay? So that's what you need to do. Now, the chances are if you're watching this video, you feel a bit stuck, you feel in a plateau with your whole fitness journey, you need to get rid of that fat first. So what you're actually going to do first is something called a reset phase, where you do drop your calories below your maintenance. Isn't that just a cut? No, it's not. Look, everything that I do and everything that we do at Project Gain, my training company, and the methods that I recommend, it's about sustainable, slower results, but with a bigger long-term payoff. So when you're doing a reset phase, for example, you're not dropping your calories into such a huge deficit like you might with a cut. The reason for that is because although the fat loss might be faster in a cut setup, you're going to lose a lot more muscle that way. You're probably going to risk burning out and giving up because you're going to get hungrier. It's just a recipe for disaster. Now, because you're here, I know you're not the type of person that's impatient. I know you're not the type of person that is going to give up easily. But because you want a better end result and you're willing to do, the hard work, and you're willing to give it enough time to work, do a reset phase. Drop your calories 300 below your maintenance, I would suggest starting with, okay? So head back to the calorie calculator, put in the same details, and you're going to pick the weight loss figures, and then you're going to start with mild weight loss. That's it. That number you're going to follow, again, track it religiously. It's even more important in a reset phase because the smallest miscalculations in your calories can cause you to not lose any fat at all. Keep your protein at that 1 gram per pound in body weight. You're going to keep it consistent no matter what you're doing in phases in terms of a build or a reset. It's always the same. And then you're going to track everything. Now, you need to do that until you're at 10 to 12% body fat. And then once you're at that body fat level, then you go back and do the build phase that I was talking about before. The aim is that you're in a position now where you have body fat a little bit. You're not fat, but there's just a little bit of fat that you rather wasn't there. You don't feel great taking your top off, right? You're going to get rid of it. And when I say you're going to get rid of it, you're going to get rid of it for good. For good. Like, it's not going to come back, okay? That's the primary difference between my approach and bulking and cutting. Bulking and cutting is something that is done on a cycle. So you do a bulk, you do a cut, you do a bulk, you do a cut, you do a bulk, you do a cut, and eventually you get to the perfect size that you were aiming for or whatever, which never happens. This is more about, let's remove the fat and let's just not get it back ever. It's gone, okay? Now we're going to build up muscle very slowly. And if you start to see a bit of fat come along, it means you're doing something wrong, okay? And by a bit of fat, I mean, you know, like a significant amount that you're noticing. A little bit of softness is normal very, very deep into a build phase. I'm talking like a year, that's normal. And then you can do a small reset phase just to tidy up and carry on. It's not bulking and cutting. Okay, that was quite a big kind of area to talk about, because really it is important. If you want to build a lean athletic physique, it has to be nutrition first that you focus on. And within the nutrition, you're going to have two separate phases. If you have body fat to lose, start with a reset phase, drop your calories a little below your maintenance, not much. Once you've got down to 10-12% body fat, you're going to move over into a build phase, eat at maintenance, maybe a little bit over, but start at maintenance and see how your body responds. Now, how are you going to track this? How are you going to know if it's working? Well, first of all, you're going to take progress photos in the mirror in the same place, in the same clothes, in the same conditions. That way you can see the changes and keep yourself motivated, and you can also look out for problems. In terms of the weight, do not weigh yourself weekly and draw conclusions. Your weight will go up and down for so many reasons. Like the other day I weighed myself, okay? And the next morning I weighed myself and I'd lost 5 pounds. For my Europeans, that's like nearly 3 kilos. Okay, so that's why you take your weight every morning and you take a weekly average and then compare the weekly figure, all right? So that's how you're gonna know if it's working. You wanna see your weight slowly start to move up in the build phase, very slowly, if at all. In a reset phase, you wanna see your fat levels start to come down, and that will be reflected by your body weight on average dropping each week. Again, not too fast, because that's bad. Okay, so that's the nutrition element, all right? So we've got that out of the way. Now we need to talk about something else. And that's the training. And I'm going to surprise you when I tell you that it's like way less important than the nutrition. It doesn't fucking matter that much. So I know you're probably coming into this thinking, oh, is he going to tell me the secret fucking bicep exercise that I need to do to look like, you know, Brad Pitt in Fight Club? No, I'm not, because it doesn't exist. And all of this content you see online about it existing and about the perfect routine, the perfect split, the perfect workout, it doesn't exist. Get it out of your head. I grew up thinking that those things existed, and I was spinning my wheels for years trying to find the right thing. It doesn't exist. The only thing that matters with your workouts is that you follow a split that you like, that's not like really stupidly built, and you can be consistent with. That's it, okay? Because what you can stick to and what is effective are the only two things that matter. And you're more likely to stick to a split that you enjoy, so make sure that you do. And you're more likely to stick to something that works, so make sure that it's well structured so that it works. And I know you're now thinking, well, how do I know it's well structured? Well, I'll tell you. I would recommend following, actually before that, what I'd recommend you do is look at your week, and you need to be very honest with yourself and say, how many days a week can I consistently go to the gym in my schedule, right? Like how many days a week could I definitely make it to the gym on a regular basis? If it's 3, cool. If it's 4, cool. I wouldn't recommend 5, 6, 7 because you are pushing it. I don't care what you do. Okay, simple. So let's say 3 or 4. If you can only go to the gym 3 days a week, please make sure that you can allow at least a day in between the sessions, because you're going to do a full body split. And if you're doing a full body split, you need a day in between the sessions to recover, okay? That's really important. If you have 4 days a week to go to the gym, you can then do 2 blocks of 2 sessions. So Monday and Tuesday, Thursday and Friday, Wednesday and Thursday, Saturday and Sunday, okay? That's fine, because you're going to follow a push-pull legs / a full body split. And what that looks like is, for example, you do a push day, okay? You do a pull day, and maybe on the first push day you do some legs, and then later in the week you do another push day and another pull day, and on the final pull day you do some more legs. So it's a kind of hybrid split that I use quite a lot with clients. It works if you have 4 days available, or if you can only go to the gym on days back to back. Does that make sense? So when it comes to your split, the only things that matter, it's a split you like, you actually look forward to it, it works for your schedule and allows you to be consistent with it, you personally, so you go the next week and the next week and the next week, it works in your routine, okay? And the final element, and this does matter, is that no matter what split you're using, you are progressively overloading and training to failure. So if I'm doing bicep, I just got back from the gym actually, so it's a bit weird, but if I was doing bicep curls, and I did 8 reps with 15 kilos, okay, I would write that down, make sure you're tracking your workouts, and the next week I might aim to do a few more reps, and I'd really push it and try to do it, because if you do, you've progressively overloaded. Now, training to failure is usually what you need to do in order to progressively overload. That means you get to the end of the set and you cannot do more reps. You try, you fail. That's why it's called failure, okay? So if I'm curling the weight up and I get to about here and I'm like, and I'm going red in the face and I can't even get it up, bit sus. If I can't get it up, failure, well done. And the next week you'll probably be stronger because of it, as long as your nutrition is in check. Make sense? So please stop overcomplicating the gym. You just need something you can be consistent with that has a pretty basic structure. And let me give you a word of advice. When it comes to training programs, usually the classics are the best. So pick one, stick to it. If it works in your schedule, stick to it. You don't need to make changes unless something needs to be changed. If you've got an injury or you don't like an exercise or something's changed in your gym and you don't have access to equipment, otherwise please stop changing your workouts every month, because that is literally resetting your progress. Cool? That's it. That's literally all you need to do with training. Okay? It just takes time to build muscle. You need your program to stay the same to allow that to happen. So you can progressively get stronger every single week, and then once the strength starts coming, guess what follows? Muscle. It's just an adaptation of the body, but your program needs to stay the same, and it doesn't fucking matter what it looks like, to be honest. You're not in danger of building too much muscle or getting too bulky, okay? That's down to the food. Make sense? Cool. Whew. So, oh yeah, and one more thing with the training. Make sure you're tracking your lifts. I referred to it earlier, but you should be writing down, at least in your notes. With our clients, we have them on our training app, and we actually check their workouts for them and make sure that they are progressively overloading every week. If you're interested in custom coaching one-to-one, you can click the link below if you're serious and you actually want to make a change, but whatever. So we have the food down, we have the training down. Now you might think, well, Sam, what else? There is a big element to recovery. And when I say recovery, it actually encompasses a few different things. So it doesn't just mean leaving the gym and recovering, okay? Well, it does, but there's a lot of elements to it. So basically, there's a sleep element. I'm going to talk about that first. You need 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep every single night, and I don't care how you get it. I don't care what your nighttime routine looks like, but if it makes you sleep better and longer, do it. So recently for me, I've started getting into bed and I put my phone on the other side of the room because I can't be fucking trusted to not scroll on social media. Yes, I am not perfect, right? So I put it on the other side of the room and I do lie there like a plank trying to go to bed for like an hour, but guess what? I still end up going to sleep earlier than if I was scrolling on my phone, and I sleep better and I feel great in the morning. I feel rested, I feel ready to do the day. That's important if you want your muscles to recover and grow properly. So please prioritize it. Next is rest days. Now, you see how I mentioned if you're doing a full body split 3 days a week, you need a day in between. That's because if you're training your entire fucking body, every major muscle group, which is fine, you're gonna need a day in between, because if you're gonna do the same thing, your body needs more than 24 hours to recover, okay? I can't think of an analogy off the top of my head to explain that. It's just the way it is. Whereas if you're doing a push-pull leg split, you do a push day and a pull day the next day, that's okay because they're different muscle groups, right? Whereas on a full body, you're going to be hitting, like if you've trained every part of your body, what else are you going to train the next day? Right? Like you only have your full body to train. So you need to make sure that you're recovering properly, and that will depend on the split. So there's sleep, there's split considerations. So yeah, if you're doing a full body, keep a rest day in between every session, okay? If you're doing a push-pull legs, I guess you could do the 4 days in a row, but I wouldn't, just for general recovery reasons. But you usually want to do 2 days rest, 2 days, and then you'd have 2 days rest as well, I think. 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah. I forgot how many days are in a week then. So recovery is a big thing, and getting enough protein is part of recovery too. So, but that's included in the nutrition because protein is literally what muscle tissue is made of. That's why people are so hyped up about it. But you need to be getting enough, but I covered that earlier. So recovery is important. Another thing to consider is if you play any sports, or, you know, like I love running as well. you need to consider where you're going to have those sports or running or cardio involved, because I think cardio is great. Because remember, we're trying to look athletic. That means training like an athlete is absolutely recommended if you want to do it. You don't have to do it, but you should, right? So I run half marathons quite a lot. I really enjoy it. It clears my head mentally. And I just love being active and lifting and running, but it can be hard to program in both and make sure that you're recovering from both, because running is pretty hard on the body. So for me personally, I like to run on my leg days. And for some people, that would be crazy because they're like, well, I've just done legs. I don't want to run as well. But for me, for my body, it makes sense to squeeze it all into one day and then have a day or two off of legs completely. No runs, no legs in the gym. And I recover really well from that. Now, you're going to have to play around with it and see what works best for you, because it's different for everyone. That's just how it is, okay? And if you play a sport, again, you might want to consider seeing where your gym sessions feel best around that sport. The general rule of thumb is I really wouldn't do back-to-back days of exercise. So I would try and encourage you to have complete rest days, like still go on walks, you can still walk and you should, but no intentional exercise. It's usually a bad idea if you go 7 days a week and you're literally doing some kind of sport or activity every day. I really wouldn't recommend that. Now, with that out of the way, it can be quite complex to program in different sports and activities. It's doable, but it's a bit more complex, but it's possible. The final area I want to talk about is expectations. Okay, so the truth is that you can nail all of those three areas, but you have to understand that body recomposition takes time. And what I mean by body recomposition is dropping fat and building muscle, which is what you want to do. That's how you get an athletic look, ultimately. There's nothing else you can do. Like, excuse me, let me let you in on a little secret. It's not a secret, it's actually a huge pet peeve of the fitness industry. There's no such thing as toning up. And I know a lot of you are like, I just want to get toned. Like, to PTs and people in the industry, that means nothing. It doesn't mean anything. What you want to do is drop body fat and build muscle, because that's all you can do. That's it. Those are the only options. Pick one, right? You can't change your bone structure, so that's out of the picture. All you can do is drop fat and build muscle. And that might be what you mean when you say you want to get toned. I mean, it is what you mean. I know it is. So you have to understand that it takes a while. Fat loss is quite quick when you do it right. So fat loss is much, much faster than muscle gain, because all fat is just stored energy, stored calories that you didn't need, right? You overate in a short or extended period of time. It got stored on your body and now you don't need it. So your body was like, fuck it, we're going to keep that for another day, for a rainy day. All right. So it's quite quick to use that. You just eat under your maintenance and your body starts taking it. It takes the fat and burns it away because it needs the energy that you're not eating. Right, that's it. Now, that will happen fast. Our reset phases with our clients tend to last anywhere from 3 months, sometimes up to a year. It depends how much body fat you have to lose. General rule of thumb is if you're sort of 15%, you're looking at like 3 months to get down to 10 to 12. If you're over 20%, you're looking at a much longer time frame. But it doesn't matter where you're at. You should lose the fat until you get to 10 to 12. Even if everyone around you is like, oh, but you don't have any fat to lose. Don't listen, because maybe you don't. Maybe you are 15% body fat. Maybe people around you think that you are healthy, but they don't know anything and they don't know what you're trying to do, okay? What you're trying to do is build an athletic body. And what you need to do is lose that little bit of fat first so that you can then build muscle longer term. It's a strategy, and people who don't know anything about this aren't going to get it, so don't listen, okay? Now, that's going to take time. So the fat loss, let's say you're at 15% body fat, okay? 3 months if you do things right, maybe 4. Once you're there, you then want to move up into a build phase, okay? And then from there, you really just aim to build for as long as possible until you feel like you want to lose a bit of fat. But the way that we do things, that really shouldn't happen for a very long time. If you're actually truthfully tracking things accurately, you're actually on top of your calories, you're not blowing them or lying to yourself about how much you ate, you really shouldn't gain any fat. Now, the truth is, what I just spoke about is really, really important and key, and it's called lying to yourself. We all do it, and it's basically, it looks like, well, I kind of tracked my calories today. If you kind of tracked your calories, I have news for you. You didn't. You guessed. You guessed. And it's really easy. It's really fucking easy to let this spiral out of control because you think, oh, I didn't track that bagel, but it's like, what, 200 calories? I didn't track that apple, 70 calories. Now, I know that off the top of my head because I've been doing this shit for years, over half a decade. But even though I know that, even me with the experience that I have, it adds up. So you start dropping the ball, okay, on a few bits of food throughout your day, and eventually you've gone 500 calories above your target, okay? And there are 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. That means, if I can do the maths off the top of my head, it's testing me here, give or take a week or two, you've gained a pound of fat that you didn't need to gain because you were lazy. And so the reason I say that is because it doesn't matter how on it you think you are. If you drop the ball, you could mess up the whole process. That's why we coach, okay? Now here's the thing. I'm not saying you necessarily need coaching in terms of knowing what to do. I've just told you what to do. But the question you have to ask yourself is, am I gonna do it? Are you? Okay, like if you wanted to, you could copy the transcript of this YouTube video, put it into ChatGPT, and it would summarize all of my waffle into basically a strategy for you. Do it. Do it. But if you know that that is a bit unrealistic, which it is, because ChatGPT can tell you what to do anyway, then maybe you should click the link below and actually look into how we can help you with a one-to-one program. Because here's the truth. You might not need information, and I've just given it all to you for free, but you might need implementation. Because the truth is that there's so much overwhelming information out there on how to build an athletic body, on how to build any type of body that people think looks better so that you can feel more confident in your skin, that you essentially get stuck in a thought loop of overthinking your every move and everything that you try. You tweak your workouts, you tweak your food because someone else says something different. You don't know who to listen to. You're scrolling through social media, a million people telling you a million different strategies. And guess what happens when you get too much information thrown in your face? You give up. You get overwhelmed. And I say that because that's me. And I know how it goes, okay? It happens to me even now with other things that I don't know that much about, okay? Now, I'm not going to try and convince you of the value of coaching, and I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm just here to say, person to person, if you want to actually ensure that this works for you, you can click the link in the description and we can jump on a call either with me or one of my team, and we will lay out your very own one-to-one strategy. Because our clients get results because of how we help them implement everything I've just told you. Not necessarily because we're hiding secrets. I don't have secrets. I just told you everything, okay? But the question you have to ask yourself is, do I want to keep spinning my wheels, getting overwhelmed and confused, or do I want help? So you can click the link below if you do want that help. And if you don't, that's cool too. Give it a crack. Give it a crack. See how you do. And I hope you do well. But that just dimmed. That was weird. God, this mic is like fucking, I don't know if you can see this, but I've got like an arm on the mic and it's kind of coming under my armpit. It's a bit weird. So I kind of have to be like this. But yeah, anyway, just yapping at this point. That's how you get an athletic body. Okay, that's how you look like Brad Pitt from Fight Club. You just don't eat like a pig. And you are very, very careful with the data and the food and the gym. And you give it enough time and you are consistent. I know it's not what you want to hear, but it's the truth. It's the truth. And the real people on the internet who have actually built the bodies you want would tell you the same if they weren't chasing views. I'm not chasing views. I don't give a shit if this video gets 5 views or 100,000 because I know that 5 people will have benefited from it. So that's a wrap. That's a wrap. I'll see you in the next one and yeah, go and crush it.